Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to bend rebar so you can get some round circles, and afterwards we're going to be making them into cages for a concrete footing. Please stay tuned and continue watching until the end so you won't miss out on any details of how you can do this kind of work as well. The first thing that we did was to purchase a few materials, especially since we don't do this type of work on a regular basis. And the reason why we're doing this now is because we got this project where we have to make a garbage enclosure made out of 6x6 pressure treated posts with some fence panels all around the perimeter. Now, for each of the posts, the site plan asks us to make a 18-inch wide hole by 2 feet deep, and inside of that footing hole we're gonna have to build all of these rebar that we bent in a circle. Now, the rebar that we're using is a number 3. That's the thinner rebar, and the one that's gonna be sustaining everything, we're gonna be using a rebar number 4. Now, the best way that we found to bend this, especially if you're doing this by hand and you don't really have like anywhere to support yourself from, is we actually are using one of the dumpsters that is here locally. And the good thing is that it has these loops right there where the lid goes on, and you can actually slide your number 3 rebar through that hole, and that will help you get some leverage. That's one thing that you're gonna need. But before you do that, you're gonna wanna make sure to cut the rebar to the desired length. Now, these round circles, we're gonna have them at 14-inch diameter. So to get that result, we actually cut the bars about 20 inches long. So when we bend it, we have some left over on either side of the circle. So you got to cut the bars into the required length or the necessary diameter that you need before bending it to avoid an oversized or undersized diameter after turning the bar. So like in our case, we need the diameter to be 14 inches round. So that means that the bar length, it needs to be much longer. And so that's why you got to measure the total length. And then afterwards, you can go ahead and start bending it. And like you see right here, we already have several made. You're gonna have some excess kind of around after you have the circle diameter. And then afterwards, you can go ahead and tie that down to the vertical rebar number 4. So that's pretty much it. You have the vertical rebar number 3, which is easy to bend. And then that's the horizontals, the one that's going to go around in a circle, number 3. And then the vertical ones that's going to hold everything up, it's the number 4, which is the typical thicker ones. So here we are, measuring each stick. And then once we have the desired length, we're going to cut it with a grinder. And pretty straightforward. Once you cut it, then you can go ahead and bend it. And the way how we do that is we're just putting it in through that hole, that loop. And little by little, we're using one of those hand benders. So that's what you want to do. You want to obtain somewhere sturdy. If you have like one of those clamps, that can also work as well, where you can clamp down your rebar and push it out a little bit, enough to where you can get your bender. That's that orange bar that you see right there. It doesn't cost too much. You can purchase one and keep it on hand for any future needs. But that one, it will help you tremendously to get some extra leverage, and you'll be able to bend the rebar in the circle that you need. And once you have that, you just want to continue the process. Like right here, we have 9 holes, 9 footings, that because we have 9 posts throughout the entire garbage enclosure. So and in each footing, the site plan, it asks us to make 4 rings that are 14-inch diameter. So 4 times 9 is 36. So when I purchased the rebar, they sell them in 10-foot lengths or 20-foot lengths. I actually had them cut them down in 10-foot lengths so it will fit much better in my truck. And once I loaded them all in there, I got enough so we can make 36 round hooks. And once you have all those built, then afterwards you can start assembling it with the rebar ties. Now the site plan, it asks us to put 4 vertical rebars, and we're gonna tie these round hooks in a certain measurement. And the way how to do it is pretty straightforward. It has one at the top, 2 inches below the surface, and then each one after that, they have to be 2 inches apart from each other. And we're just gonna tie them with the rebar ties in the position, and then in the hole we're gonna use those little blocks. It's these little concrete blocks that you put at the base. They're about 3 inches tall, and it has a little hook as well. You can tie your rebar directly to those little blocks, and that way the rebar it will not touch the soil. And so this design is pretty perfect. I mean, it's kind of overkill, but the design is pretty amazing, you know, because the diameter of these hooks are 14 inches. The footing hole is 18 inches. So that gives us 2 inches of clearance all around the circle. And then at the bottom, we have those concrete blocks, so it rests on that. So in no place, this rebar will have any contact with the dirt or the surrounding elements. It's all gonna be buried within the fresh concrete. And that will be in a later video. You know, I'll show you that process of how, once we have these in place, everything fully built and put into the footing holes. And once we get it approved, I'll let you know. And then the final video will be once we pour all the concrete. But right here, like I said, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. We have one guy feeding the rebar little by little, and then our other guy is bending it little, you know, as it comes through to get the desired round that we need. And then we measure, like right here. And sometimes, you know, we find that it's like 13 inches and a half or whatever. So like I said, the good thing with this rebar is it's thin enough that you can like pull it, or you can maneuver it and play with it. But you know, once you do several of these afterwards, it's gonna be like a piece of cake. You know, you're gonna get the process down. You're gonna be able to just like get the whole thing dialed down and just continue to move down the line. Ultimately, you're gonna just need to apply constant pressure when bending the rebar around the jig. Ensure that you apply consistent pressure to create an even circle, or as even as possible, because irregular pressure may result in uneven curves or kinks in the rebar.